What I thought we'd be talking about is one of the characteristics behind these rebels, and that is the characteristic of curiosity. And part of the reason why I love these characteristics is that I was just reviewing some data that a colleague of mine at Harvard Business School collected, looking at 170,000 employees and leaders across the globe. And she was very much interested in digital transformation. What are the skills that are needed for the future of work, but in a world that is becoming more digital? And she was very surprised when looking at the results, because the top three skills that people mentioned consistently were creativity. And so it's great that Sheena talked a bit about that, adaptability, and curiosity. And curiosity, as we know from a lot of research that my colleagues and I have done, is the turbocharger behind creativity and innovation, and is also an important variable when we're thinking about becoming more adaptive and change quite quickly based on everything that is happening around us and in our environment. What I find puzzling yet interesting about curiosity is that we're all born with it. I'm the mom of 4 children, and I can't tell you the number of times that I'm left with no answer to a series of questions that come my way. Why is it that we do things this way? Why is the sky blue? Why we pay for things? It's interesting that when we're little, we experiment a lot. We look at the world with a lot of awe and wonder. And so we ask questions without worrying how we're going to be judged by others, or without thinking too much about the reactions that others are going to have based on the questions that we ask. And if you look at the data and you really follow children's development, at the age 5, 6, sometimes a little sooner, we start losing that sense of curiosity. And part of it is due to the fact that we become more aware of our social surrounding, and we start wondering how people are going to judge us for the questions that we ask. Again, I have an experiment running in my own home with my son being 10. He went through that phase, but the other 3 being younger. And so having that excitement around any questions that they might be asking, that it's top of mind for them. Now, when I said with that data, I got a little sad since, again, curiosity has so many benefits, not only for innovation and creativity and for agility, but also for helping us make better decisions, develop stronger relationships in the work that we do, work through our conflicts more productively. It also helps us develop networks that are more diverse. So lots of interesting benefits that curiosity brings about, and yet we don't seem to hold on to it. And I grew convinced that maybe we didn't have the full picture, that maybe by the time we become adults and we're passionate about the jobs that we do, that curiosity would pop that back up. And what I found is that when I have these ideas, I usually test them. And here's what the data clearly suggests, is that I was wrong. That's the major highlight of the data. We get into jobs, new roles. We're quite curious, but we lose that curiosity quite quickly. So usually within months, we start following how things are done in a certain organization or in a certain group, and we stop asking questions. And it's not because we don't see the value of it. In fact, when you ask people about the benefits of curiosity, they do understand that they're important. But again, they face barriers to asking questions on a day-to-day basis. And so what it is that we can do about it, since we have clearly an issue, given the benefits of curiosity, I'll just suggest a few ideas. One is to truly think more deeply about the why, bringing out this inquisitiveness that we can also model for others. So I have studied a lot of leaders who seem to have not forgotten about the importance of being inquisitive. And it's wonderful to see how curiosity is truly contagious. So asking why, what if, how could we, and making that a regular practice. The second strategy, and this one I think is really cheap to apply across all sorts of contexts, is the idea of focusing on learning goals. Many organizations, many employees have organizational developmental plans where we specify the objective performance that we want to reach in the next 6 or 9 months. if we were to add the learning goals, not only we retain our curiosity, but we actually perform at higher levels. So that seems a really easy intervention and strategy to adopt. And then the final one is to broaden our interests. Again, having learning goals allows us to do that, but really think about what are industries could I be following that are outside my own industry? Or what other aspects of the jobs I want to learn about, or maybe you want to spend time with colleagues who work in other functions or departments to learn more from them so that you're truly expanding your interest. There is an organization in Italy called Brunello Cucinelli. They were founded by Brunello Cucinelli himself. They are in the high fashion, and he has cultural budgets to help people broaden their interest. So you can use it to sign up for classes, but also buy books, to go to museums, to engage in activities that in fact allow you to have a broader set of interest. So I want to pause here. I'm curious to see if in the short span of time there are questions that I could be addressing.
Okay. So, wonderful. You actually had a little extra time in case you had one or two other remarks that you had wanted to make. But we do have a couple of questions for you in the background. So one of these is, we just had a wonderful talk on thinking bigger with some systematic steps to think bigger. Can you give us some systematic ways where you help organizations encourage curiosity and experimentation? How would you systematize that, and what are the steps to enhancing that innovation and curiosity?
So I think a lot about this idea of learning goals, especially when I'm working with organizations. I know that change is hard, and it's much easier to change if you're suggesting something that can be embedded in existing systems. And so the reason why I was mentioning this organizational developmental plans is because they exist in most organizations. Maybe they're not called that way, but they come in the form of truly sitting down and thinking, what do I want to achieve in the next 3, 6, sometimes it's 9 months? And so adding learning goals to that allows us to hold on to our curiosity. And it can be things that are related to the job, but also things that are outside of the job. And since I'm preaching about this and I've done some of the research behind it, I'm the first to say, okay, I should be doing this myself. So if you were to look at my own organizational developmental goals, you'll see some performance goals. It might be in the form of writing papers or writing a book or teaching certain classes or developing materials. But I also have learning goals. So in the last few years, I've been asked a lot whether I'd be interested in sitting on boards. And I feel like before I say yes, I want to learn more about it. And so that's one of my learning goals. And then specifically what that means is talking to colleagues who are serving on boards, see what I can learn from them, maybe taking a class, since HBS offer different classes on this very theme. And what's interesting is that when we have learning goals in addition to performance goals, not only we retain our curiosity, so we truly nurture it, but we also perform at higher levels. So to me, that seems like a really, maybe not really easy, but that's pretty good in terms of easiness to adopt inside of organizations.
So there's one more question, which this wonderfully comes from a real thinker, which is great for Thinkers50. What exactly is curiosity? How do you compare it with related concepts like open-mindedness?
Really good question. So curiosity is certainly related to being open-minded, in the sense that curiosity, genuine curiosity, allows us to be open-minded in the case in which we're going into conversations where we're going to disagree. Curiosity is at a fundamental level this desire to gather information that fulfills something that we want to discover. Not because you have a clear objective, you want to learn something, but because you want to uncover new knowledge, data, and there is a genuine interest behind that. And so you could even think about social curiosity. So you apply that same definition in the case of our social relationships. And so part of driving, for instance, diverse networks is the social curiosity that we might have about each other.
Perfect timing. You got 3 seconds left. So Francesca, Gino, thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, everybody.